Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Coffee Break with Senabella. I'm your host, Senabella, of course. Some of you know me by now, but I'm not going to take anything for granted because I know the whole world needs to get to know me, just like I need to get to know you. So, how's everybody on this beautiful Friday? We are here, we're alive, and we can just become whatever we want to do and whatever we want to be. And we can be in a place wherever we want in the world. We can transport ourselves through our spirits, our minds, our bodies, and we can grow and become whatever we want. And so today I am happy to say I'm here and I'm alive and well enough, even if not well in 100% of what I'd like to be, but well enough to be here with you. So how you doing? What's going on with you? And before we get started, I want to do one thing, and that is open the show with a commercial so you can get ready for me as I've gotten ready for you. Let's open up. You're at The Female Solution, and I'm Senabella, your host with Coffee Break.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
And it is the Female Solution, and the females are here to do our business today. We have a wonderful and dynamic guest that I'm going to bring on. But before we do, let's do our morning resolve. I love to wake up and feel beautiful and share that time and that moment with you. So let's get started without any delay. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. 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 So beautiful, beautiful. I want to wake up feeling 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 beautiful. So beautiful, beautiful. So beautiful, beautiful. I want to wake up with the sun in my eyes and joy in my heart. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. So beautiful, so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So beautiful, beautiful. I want to wake up feeling beautiful. Good morning and good morning and good morning. Wake up feeling beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to start off with the good morning from Cherie Lynn Smith. Good morning to us, Cherie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, I'm not going to have a long introduction today, but I hope you're feeling beautiful this morning, Cherie, as we open up this show with a very important subject, and that will be with author Asadah Kirkland, my dear, dear, wonderful sister. And I want to say now, I have many, many titles in which I can give her, but I'm just going to try to keep it very basic because I think our conversation today will cover the breadth and the depth of what I think of her. Asadah Kirkland is an authoress, and she has written many books, but the one that is soul stirring and breaking into the medium and the transfer of spirit and energy is the book Beating Black Kids. And it's important for us to understand who we are and how what we are is shaping us, who we are as people. And I don't mean that just of color, but people, period. And maybe then with that, we can understand how this world has become what it is. And I do mean what it is, not what it has been. And if we can just grapple with that, then I think today when you leave here, after having this here next 45, 50 minutes with Asadah Kirkland, as she defines and outlines her purpose behind writing this book and how it is transforming and helping people internationally across the globe. I'm going to start off with doing something that is a part of the book. And I want to do this before I bring her in. And that is reading her introduction. And I want to do that because it's no better way to describe or define someone than through the introduction of a book of this magnitude. So let me do that. In the introduction, Asadah says, I wrote this book because my peers see beating their children as a good solution to handling problems. Some feel beating is okay to do sometimes, but not all the time. Some see it as a last resort. Others use beating as a tactic to scare children into good behavior, while others just see beating children as a regular run-of-the-mill response when the kids are driving them crazy. Well, I never saw beating a child solve the real problem. I have seen beating momentarily make children change their behavior, but I have never seen it make them better. The reason for beating children stems from something else. Perhaps the reason can be traced all the way back to slavery and our relationships with our children then. Who is to say? We have to look at our own choices and why we do what we do. This book explores why beating was and continues to be typical in the Black community. It challenges us to change our behavior and offers tips on how we can do that. Beating Black kids is controversial. It has been happening for a long time and is very accepted in our culture. Many of us laugh it off as adults, but does spanking do what we say it does when we do it? Is it masking something else? It is time to look at who children are, what they can do, and how beating them affects who they become. Many ideas will come together as a result of reading this book. The goal, though, it is to get us to look at how we view children, to stop mentally and physically beating them and to decide where we can go from here. When you see a key, that means you're reading. That means that what you are reading is a key that can open up a door to something positive. We are responsible for the adults our children will become. What will we do to fill the world with empowered people who can make good decisions? Read this book and let's decide. So, I don't know. It's like, read this book and let's decide. So let me say, and let me bring on Asadah Kirkland, my dear sister and friend here on the Female Solution, but really known around the world for this remarkable feat that she has taken on through making sure that people can transform through our books. Hers in particular, Beating Black Kids. Welcome to the stage, Asadah.
Hey there, hi there, hold there. What's up?
And of course, she's not going to let nothing be deep, sad, and sorry. This is like just the bomb, as in like the bomb explosion of something wonderful. Hey, Asadah.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's truly my pleasure. Truly, truly, truly. Mm-hmm. And as we go in, I just want to make sure, okay, Markion Wallach says, good morning. And
good morning, Dapper Dan. You looking mighty Dapper Dan in that suit over there.
He is. And of course, Sherry Lynn is in the house with us saying good morning.
Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, back as always, a loyal coffee breaker and one who really advocates and push for the female solution. So everybody's welcome. Let's just get into it. I don't want to waste my time having a whole lot of chit chat when we have such an important and valuable person such as yourself and what we're doing here in the room. And ironically, I see Dr. Naima Latif is here as well. So I'm just going to add the stage real quick, just so we can say good morning properly and get right back to it. Good morning, Dr. Lateef.
Good morning. You're talking about one of my favorite subjects and, of course, one of my favorite authors. And I'm excited to be able to share some higher wisdom with those parents that are still beating Black kids.
Yeah, it's a big moment for me. It touches me so close to home, as I'm sure will so many other people. And so I'm not going to keep going into the small chit chat. I'm going to give the stage to Asadah, and I'm just going to say, take in a few good mornings, because I want everyone to take the opportunity. Good morning, Henri. She's all the way in Nigeria now, everybody. She is transformed from one physical space to another in Africa, happily over there, from what I was told. I'll let her tell her story again later. And so good morning, good morning, good morning, Henri. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm sure you'll have more to add. Please, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, go ahead and prepare yourself, because as Asadah talks, I believe there's going to be much clamor in terms of your heart, your mind, your soul, and what it is you want to say. So feel free to do that. And I am now going to change the stage and remove myself for a moment as we welcome in Asadah to just take and transform this day here at Coffee Break with Senabella. And welcome, 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 everybody.
What up, fam? It's Asadah. I'm very appreciative of being able to talk about this book. This book has been around since 2009, and I wrote Beating Black Kids because at that time I had a stroke. It was my first stroke, and I was being supervised by someone who, at my daughter at the time, was about 5 years old, and because I had a stroke, I was horizontal and wasn't the regular mom. And so my daughter one day ripped up some money, and the person who was watching over us said, "You need to spank her so that she understands that you don't do that." And I just thought that was weird, because this person had a head wrap and they all namaste and all that, peace and all that. But you telling me I should whip my child? So anyway, I talked to my daughter a little bit and said, "I think Mommy's going to write a book." This was some weeks after I got out of the hospital, and I told her what the top of the book was. And because I felt like we needed to address it if even a progressive person believes that we should beat children. And when I took it back to work and told my coworkers what I was going to write a book about, oh my God, they went on for like 3 hours, the word clamoring about how they were beat when they were little. And they were talking about, I got hit with a spatula, I used to have to get wet first, and all these other things. And they went on to talk for like 3 hours about this topic. And I was like, these people are purging. Like, this thing is going on and on, but nobody ever gets a chance to talk about it. So I wrote the book so it could address just that and address the issue. And it has interviews in it, people who have different viewpoints, people who have beaten their children, people who were beat, like maintenance men, hairstylists, they're all in the book in different ways. But before I go into that, I'm going to just show a video that kind of gives you an example of the book and, understand its background and its power.
I got spanked and I turned out fine. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Kids today need to be beat. What else am I supposed to do? He's so bad. Ooh, she gets on my last nerve. Better hush up before I give you something to cry about. It was important that I write the book, Beating Black Kids.
I'm old-fashioned, and I believe, you just can't let a child do anything.
I think it's okay, as long as you don't abuse them.
It's needed to a certain point.
But what I saw was a collection of adults who were talking about a topic they had never really talked about before. Out came, my mama used to hit me with a spatula. My dad used to hit me with a belt. They used to make me get wet first. They used to put my face in a pillow and then spank me. Like, all of these different stories about how we have gotten beaten over time. And while there was a lot of laughter when those stories were being told, I could clearly see that there's a fine line between laughing and crying. And I knew that it was time for me to write a book about handling the situation. And so it's very obvious that this came from being a slave, from a slavery experience. And that whole spare the rod before the child. The shepherd did not beat the sheep with the rod. He guided them with the rod. And so it is just obvious that that came from a slavery experience. And we have to know how to differentiate those things and then just use some discernment in terms of doing what's best for our children and not breaking their spirits. With regards to how we discipline our children, first of all, I always tell people that discipline, if you look at the etymology of the word, it comes from disciplina, which is the Latin root meaning teach. And so when you discipline a child, you are teaching them. But when you use corporal punishment and you hit our children, you're not teaching them anything. They're actually not going to do it again out of fear. They're not doing it out of reason. The frustration that we feel from being powerless in a society and all of the things that come along with that, those issues are not to be taken out on our children when we get home. The definition of domestic violence says bringing harm to someone in your home or hurting someone in your home. So I want us to look at how we beat our offspring and how that's not giving them anything good. It's making them quote unquote obedient, but that's what you make a dog, that's what you make an animal. But when you're dealing with someone of higher intelligence, use their intelligence and start to talk to them in ways that give them power, make them feel supported, listen to their ideas, and it'll just be an easier parenting road for you. There's a part of the brain called the regulatory part of the brain, and that's the part of the brain that helps you make decisions in times of adversity. Well, if they have that toxic stress before they even fall, that part of the brain does not develop. And so you're looking at a community full of people with no regulatory equipment. So we need to be bringing a different generation of people up with a different consciousness. Make sure that the kids feel good and alive while they're living. Don't be upset after they die and after there's all these senseless killings. Let's treat them well while they're living, and then we'll see a different impact. The adults want to be upset, but you taught the children the violence when they were young, and it's the tools they have. I feel like, hitting children is such a skillless. We need to foster behavior that builds them up, and that just changes the way, like, we talk to each other, talk to your discipline, because discipline, we're using it a lot to describe hitting children, and this is not directly to you, LaShawn, but it's to just all of us, because I've heard it and it's personally, and discipline. My book is sold in Switzerland, Germany, Tasmania, Nigeria, Sudan, Canada, all over the world. And so people all over the world are telling me, as far as Germany, that my book is making a difference in the lives of the people that other people touch, but also in the lives of many parents and families who now no longer beat their children because they read my book. A lot of people ask me if I'm going to write another book, and I'm not ready to write another book, but what I will say is that there is a high demand for the book in Spanish and in French. My book is not punitive, my book is not accusatory, but there are solutions replete throughout the whole book. It really is just about being engaged with your child. They're not going to become respectful and trustworthy through you telling them and demanding it. They're going to become that way from observing you and then emulating what they see. And so in my parental code of ethics that I wrote, one of my favorite lines is, I will only seek excellence in my child if I am excellent myself. And so that's what I say is the number one key to making sure you have great children is checking yourself.
Wow. Okay. So that is the book, sort of gives you a background on it and what it is. Glad to see. Hey, Dolores Ringo. What's up, Latoya Griffin? Kids do need this. I'd be interested to see what part of the need you were mentioning. Like, do they need the beatings or the whoopings, whatever you want to refer to? Because a lot of people say, well, beating them is different than spanking them or hitting them. And I'm like, look, when the body experiences pain, cells die away. That's what the bruising is. It's an example of that, right? Blood cells dying away. And so you might have a different intention, but it's just a different gradient of pain, right? Whatever you're doing, it's creating a situation in the body that is not ideal. And so the key is to just always say, raise your skills and not your hands to discipline children. Like, it's just that simple. Have a conversation, communicate, really find out what the source of the interbulation that the child is experiencing or expressing. What is it? Where is it coming from? Sometimes they don't like your man. Sometimes they don't like decisions you made as an adult, but they can't really say it. But you have to be perceptive and really take the time to get to understand where they're coming from and why they feel the way they feel. And so it says here, should be required. Oh, let me just show this here. Sherry Lynn Smith says should be required reading in all schools and for all parents. I actually do parenting workshops in schools because they have their PAC meetings and what have you. And I've been brought into schools to work with parents and to tackle this topic. So you got the right idea, girl. I just started the other day getting my CPS license renewed so I can go into these schools and create what I need to create. My girl Zelda said, awesome. Thank you for sharing your experience and journey to enlightenment. Thank you, darling. If whatever I learn, y'all gonna learn. That's how we're gonna do this. And I always say about this particular book, we're gonna tackle the topic because it's such a taboo one. And I think one of the things we do, we don't like to make our parents wrong, right? And we don't like to incriminate our parents. And so a lot of times we make justifications. Well, I got beat, but I turned out fine, or she did the best she could do. Well, I have an acronym for turning out fine, and that is FINE, FINE. But that turning out fine for me is failing indefinitely, never emerging. And that's how I see our people. You know, we are turning out fine, but we're not emerging like we should because we're not experiencing the support and the love that we should. In those little video clips, when you saw me on CNN and all of that, I had a shirt that said, love don't hurt. And that's a line that I had because love doesn't hurt. Like people say they beat people out of love or they spank out of love. And in my workshops, I would walk up to people and say, can I smack you out of love? Like, can we do that? And it's like, it seems preposterous. So no, we're not going to use hitting and say we're loving people because it doesn't feel like love. You get a lot of resentment, sadness, and all of that. But we want to do things that really cater to the upliftment of the child, to the support of the child. You know, the way you're supposed to feel about your parent is one of comfort, trust. Think about the people that hit you. You don't trust them. If your husband beats you, you trust him. I don't know. You know, so just because your mama hit you, you don't end up really trusting that person. You fake it as you go forward, but you don't really trust them in the way that you confide in them and that you believe in them. And that's what we want. We want to create environments that have that characteristic in them. And yeah, go ahead, girl.
I just have a question or a statement. One of the things that parents say to you is that I don't want you to leave from out of my house and embarrass me. I want to make you better for this world. I want you to become more acceptable. So can you speak to that as well? That whole psychological makeup of how we make excuses for what we're saying, even though we know inside internally we don't feel good about it. At least for me, I know I didn't. And I did hit my kids. I didn't hit them all the time. But as I've said earlier, when I spoke to you, those couple of times that I did it, I walked away feeling tired and like overwhelmed, saying, what can I do better? And I didn't have the information to make me feel better, to go find and seek out even more answers. I sought out men to mentor my children. I called people and said, hey, can you help me with my son? Help me with my son. And I'd send him over there. He'd do better. He come back home to me, though. He came back home to me, the tired mom.
Right.
And the excuses of being tired to discipline our children with physical abuse. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Well, it's a whole bunch of me as the parent. Don't go out and embarrass me. Or the kid has a tantrum in the store and it's the parent. The parent don't care about the tantrum. They care about the embarrassment of them. And so this is where Raise Your Skills comes into me. It's not about you. It's about your skill set. It's about you as a parent and your love for the young person and why they feel the need to act a particular way. What is the root of that? What have they seen? What contradictions are you living? Sometimes you live in contradictions. I remember one time we were on the bus in New York, and there were some kids in the back of the bus cursing and loud and this and that. So I went back there and I told them to stop cursing. And there's a way that I do that so that they're not embarrassed, right? But I went to tell them to chill. You know, they don't know who I am. I could be offering them, I could have jobs for them, this and that. But whatever it was, they end up stopping the cursing. So when I went to sit back down next to my daughter, who was maybe 7 at the time, she said to me, she bent over and said, "Mommy, you're a hypocrite." And I said, "What?" She said, "You're a hypocrite." And she said that because I curse like a sailor, right? So she like, I'm telling these kids not to curse, and I curse all the time. So I can't be mad at her. Couldn't be mad at her. I had to live with the fact that she was right. She was being correct. And so I have a decision to make to correct my behavior. But that's not really where we come from. We like to tell them, you shut up, stay in your place, be quiet, and all these other things. But I was telling Senabella earlier, there's a reason that the only adult in the Charlie Brown cartoon sounds like she sounds. What she sound like? Wah, 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 wah. And that's how we end up sounding to young people when we spew our lessons. And I say spew because we generally, a lot of times, are talking at them and not having a conversation with them. And so blah, 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 wah, 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 whatever we talk about. And they're not really retaining what we're saying. And that's because we're not giving thought to what we're saying and making it so that they could really understand. So Henri says, "I've never understood someone saying I'm a better person for having to be beat. No one ever defines how they're better. In your experience, have you ever found someone that explained it?" They can never explain it because no one ever took the time to explain it, right? They just say it like, they say, "I turned out fine." And I say, "Is that what you were aiming for? Like, fine? Like, you think that's what everybody was aiming for? Like mediocre? That was the aim?" "Oh, no, I mean, I turned out excellent." I said, "No, that's not what you said. You said you turned out fine, or I turned out okay," which denotes, just this medium space. And so nobody, they correct it. They listen to what I have to say afterwards because they got to reckon with it. And what I also say, they say, "Well, I love my mom." I said, "Okay, we all do." I said, "But what were you feeling when she was beating you, though?" And that one man said, "Oh, I wanted to kill her." Right. That's what's still in your soul. Not that you want to kill your mom, but the emotion that made you so angry and so resentful that you wanted to kill the person creating that type of pain for you, which is normal to feel that way when somebody's trying to create pain in you or they're creating pain in you. But usually the kids are too little to fight back, or too little, or they're being shut down and they can't express themselves. Or sometimes you have children that'll say things like, "Mom, stop," or whatever. But we as parents have to just do a better job at making sure that we are preventative from harm to them. You see people improve, I would say, when they become grandparents and they don't do the same things to their grandkids that they did to their kids. You see a lot of kids say stuff like, "If that was us when we were little, you would have whooped our butts," and all this other stuff. Well, you learn more, you do more. You learn better, you do better, right? And so the book was written so that people can learn to do better off the cuff. I had a dude stop me in front of my building. He worked for UPS. And as I was walking into my building, he said, "Hey, excuse me, are you that lady that wrote Beating Black Kids?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." And he said, "I'm a better father because of you." He said, "I was having a baby right around the time that you gave me that book." Because I give the book away a lot of times in the community. If I see young people with children or that I think that they might benefit from the message, I ask them if I I wrote a book about being a parent. I know how it is for us. If I gave it to you, would you read it? And they say yes. And I give them the book. So he said that book made him a better father because he read it before he became a father. So corporal punishment wasn't part of his MO, right? So that's dope to me. I really love that. And I love that because I explained to men that beat their daughters are teaching that men that love you can hit you, right? And then for women that hit their sons, I don't know, if I was a black man, I might not look for a doggone black woman because black women kicked my butt my whole life. So I might not even be down with them, and so you as a mom, you have a responsibility to show the caliber of woman that you want them to choose, right? And so this here is a picture I had. These are garbage cans I had up in New York, all up and down 125th Street. What? Why? Because it's better than any ad in any newspaper, that's for sure. But other than that, the subliminal sort of message, that's how we're treating them, like trash. A bunch of trash cans saying beating Black kids. And that's what it is. Just a disgusting behavior that we need to reckon with and do away with, because it sits at the root of all of our problems. The fact that we can't come home to comfort and solace, but come home to fear and beating is a problem that we have to fix. And by not addressing it, we skip over some of the main reasons why there's discord in the Black family, discord in relationships, lack of trust, and all these other things come from this behavior. This is the stuff you hear in the book from different people in those stories, that in their interviews. And so the key is to utilize the book to get a different perspective about a better way to behave going forward. So I see we have a comment, but I also see that it's commercial time. So I'm going to turn it over to my girl Senabella to do her production thing. And we'll be back after these messages.
Hi, this is John Alexander.
And I'm Naima Latif. Meet people like you who are making a positive difference in the world.
Big difference.
Watch us every day on The Media Connection at www.youtube.com/The Media Connection TV.
YouTube it. We'll see you soon.
Our life is a journey. Let the female solution help you along the way.
The Female Solution, a 724 global hookup for those who dare to walk in their divine authority and win.
And so we're going to come right back into the room. And I have a few things that I want to say, but I thought instead of saying it, I would read this and it would kind of get to where I think we need to kind of add more context to so many. She used the words dope, and it is dope. It's like dopamine. It enlightens us when we have good information that helps us to elevate and to become what we need to be as people. And we're never, ever going to stop growing. We're going to grow until the day we die. In fact, in death, people have more realization of their wrongs, and they want to, on their deathbed, say what they need to say. But in this time that we live in, when information is king and it can be had in so many ways, Asadah brings to us information that helps us to transform not only ourselves and our children through our actions to learn, grow, and to exploit that information in a way that is profitable to us, but also in a time when we can say we don't have to wait till death to do something. We don't have, people leave inheritance to people and they think somehow that takes up for everything they didn't do. They leave money and jewelry to children and stuff, and the kids say, yeah, but they never took us anywhere, or they never talked to us, or they used to beat us, or they used to leave us behind. So she says in her page 1 on her book, she says, who are they? This book is not about the little people we see as children. It is about the future. All children grow to be adults. They all have feelings. They all have ideas. They all have personalities. They all look for guidance. They are all a responsibility to someone. They are open to change. They are forgiving. They are active. They see a lot. They can plan. One of the things that make children wonderful is that they can be shaped into the good things we want. They are a product of their environment. So when we say we're shaping you so you can go outside and be a part of the world and you could be that example. And like I used to tell my kids, I just want to have a mommy moment. Well, our mommy moment might not be what the explosion is that we think. And so when they get out there, they may be having mommy moments that can be very embarrassing. So I surrender and take the floor back to you, because you talked about the garbage can, the psychological piece with everything being on the garbage can, and that's it. We all feel like garbage in some way from something that's happened in our lives. So I'm going to leave the floor back to you, Asadah.
I mean, one of the things I want to bring to the table, adults, ain't nobody make you make them children. Take responsibility for the fact that you laid your butt down and made them. So when they get here and they driving you crazy and you got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you created them. So if they drive you crazy, you should have prepared before you made the decision to make them and had a plan for them when they got here, right? Take responsibility for the fact that you created these souls. And then part of the book, I have a chapter called You Got Chosen. And I talk about how I believe our children choose us, right, to come through. And good. My message is, if they chose you, what they choose you for? What are you bringing to the table? Are you a good cook and you taught them how to do it? Are you calm and you taught them how to breathe? Like, take responsibility for your role in being chosen, and then let them grow in who they are, but be patient and cultivate who they really are. I wrote something called the Parental Code of Ethics, which I'll read in a minute, but I'll share some of these comments that we see up. Hold on here. Naima Latif said, many eating disorders are traced to resentment over being beaten as children. Why are so many of us obese? Girl, please. Then we have, thank you squared for your straight talking. Cool. Thank you, Sherry. My girl Henri said, exactly 100%. Grandparent love is different. We learn from our past. No doubt about it. Zelda says, why you putting my business in the street, Naima Latif? Laughing but true. Cool. And then Sean Lemon Burrow says, good morning. What's up? Good morning. Cool. So yeah, there are just so many. I think there's so many solutions to this topic. And I wrote something called the Parental Code of Ethics, because a lot of times people would say to me, well, if I don't beat them, what am I going to do? Because if you talking to me about corporal punishment and you believe in corporal punishment, I promise you're not going to win that discussion. It's not about win or losing, but what I have to say just makes a lot of sense, period. Like, it's no there is a right or wrong, because if it debilitates the person, it's wrong. So people say stuff like, I'm not here to tell you how to parent. I am here to help tell you how to parent. I am. Like, I'm not going to chinch on that, because somebody has to put us in a proper place to where there is solutions and to where there's no discord across the board and there's harmony. So there's a thing called the Parental Code of Ethics that I wrote, and I'm just going to read it. We had it on the screen, but it was a little too small, but I'm going to just read it to you. But you can get it on my website, beatingblackkids.com, and you see that on the screen underneath. But anyway, the Parental Code of Ethics says, I will listen to my child and hear what's being said. I will use my wisdom to read my child's behavior and make decisions based on what I really see. I will focus on creating true happy moments in my child's life. I will foster growth and development of the gifts my child displays naturally. When I get frustrated with my child's behavior, I will create better solutions for disciplining than hitting. I will influence my child with pleasing memories of our relationship, filled with conversations held together and shared discoveries. I will work to have good, safe control over my child's surroundings and not control over his or her mind and decisions. I will contemplate the future impact my present time parenting will have on my child's development. My child will learn respect firsthand from the respect I give to him or her. I will only seek excellence in my child if I am excellent myself. And the last piece says, I will honor this parental code of ethics and use it as a guide for being the best parent I can be, right? So this came a lot from my own experience with my own child. My daughter's name is Patience. She's 21 right now. But when I talked about these shared discoveries, when I said I will influence my child with pleasing memories of our relationship, filled with conversations held together and shared discoveries, I remember intentionally saying, look at the moon. That's called a crescent moon. And that's called a half moon. And I remember her looking at the sky and us talking about it. And I remember her being like 2 years old going, look at that up there. It's very high. Talking about a helicopter or, and us talking about these different experiences and having her memory. I have to put things in her memory. If you are putting harm in your children's memory and you're putting discord in your children's memory and you're putting yelling in your children's memory, that is your choice. You're going to have to reckon with that. As they grow up, you're going to have to reckon with that. My girl, Higher Learning Network TV show says, Mommy moments matter. Mothers are always learning about themselves through our children. We often don't like the truth. True that? Mommy moments, let me tell you something. When you have a child, you got to create the moments, but don't ask the children to give them to you. Stop asking them to give you mommy moments, let you have mommy moments. They just here doing their life as a child with no power. They got to listen to your words and everything you say and all of that. You create your mommy moments. You better learn how to make them overlap. Let's go to the beach and let's breathe. Let me show you how to breathe in this oxygen of this tree. Look at this tree. You see this tree? Let me show you a leaf. See that green? Open it. That's the blood of the leaf. It's called chlorophyll. It's like our blood. Now we inhale. Like, you got to take that time to make everything relevant, and you will create a more pensive child who thinks through things, who is not always afraid of you. And they can't bring things to you. You crazy in their eyes because you wield your hand at them. You backslap them. You hit them with things. Who wants to go confide in a person like that? So take time and create your mommy moments from your own calm and the calm you bring to the family. Go ahead, Senabella.
Yeah, so that's really important because we don't even recognize who we are psychologically.
Mm.
We don't know how we have a muddy inner self and that we're actually going through life behaving the way that mud is inside of us.
Mm.
It's like you take your shoes off to go in the house because you don't want to be trash in the house, but you enter with the trash inside of you still. And
mentally, baby.
We always talk about, Black men don't like to do therapy. Well, Black women ain't had no therapy either.
Girl, please.
We talk about our children being difficult, don't want to sit with us at the dinner tables, don't want to do things with us, but we have not addressed the issues that help us to get the dinner table together. And some of us probably said, well, my kids come to all my events and we go on vacations and stuff, and then you get on vacations and fight, or they're drinking and they're getting high. There are so many things that are telling us that what has happened to our society has happened because of us. Sure. We have a history of crime in us. The elevation of violence is in us because of slavery. We do need to talk about that more. We need to not be afraid of what our past has been. And we need to openly discuss that and see how that has affected us, recognizing it, educating ourselves and beginning to move forward, because then we can forge a better community. We also still need support from one another outside of us. I mean, how many times have you been out of your house and you look down the street and you know everybody, but you can't go to them for anything? Mm-hmm. Everybody's individually suffering.
Sure.
And so when you're home with your kids, or when your children get older and they leave, they're individually suffering now at their homes.
No doubt about it. I wanted to bring up that parents were children. You were a child at one point and you had experiences and feelings, but in this healing process, there's it can be one-sided, right? Either you for the children or not or whatever. But my thing, I always tell people, I'm not really a child advocate as much as I am a parenting strategist, period. I'm into the healing of the parent, because the children got to go home to the parent, like you said earlier. And I want to show a short clip about what I feel about the handling of parents. So let's just take a look at this. I've heard a lot about the things that are being done with legislation and making sure that states and countries ban corporal punishment and things of that nature. But if you do not go and talk to their mother or the father about their innate views and their innate feelings about children, you can pass all the laws you want, but you're not changing the fiber of the society. The laws will be changed overnight if you have a rally of parents to back it. But the reason you don't have a rally of parents to back it is because they still have these deep-seated feelings of resentment towards kids or whatever they were raised with. I was beaten and it made me turn out better. You know, they have that belief. So if that's what has to be attacked, that's what has to be handled, is the fact that they actually believe that they deserve the beatings and that they're going to give more beatings because it made them better. My approach is to attack the pain, not in a way that's like evaluative. Let's look at that. I don't care about that. Nobody wants to feel like that, like they're being researched. I'm talking about, did it work for you? When I do my workshops, I have people actually look at their first exposure to violence, and I have them draw what their first exposure to violence is, and you'd be very surprised what they come up with. And when they look at it themselves, see, they blocked it out for so many years, to return to it and see it, they don't like it. And so then I have them address, well, what would have been better? And then they conjure up the better things. And after that, they go, oh, and they don't want to do those things anymore. One lady said to me in a workshop, thank you for letting us tell our stories because no one ever asked us. That was like amazing. She's a parent. Nobody ever asks. They just want to condemn the parents for what they're doing, but you're not asking them the questions that will help you see why they're doing it. It's like you want to answer, but you're not really asking the questions to get the answer. You're just condemning people for their actions. But when you really listen to these people, you know why they do it, and then you know how to fix it. It's that simple.
We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
Now, as we get ready to come back, I want everyone to take the opportunity so that as we count down to share what questions you may have for Asadah before we close out today so that we can get the best outcome of the information that she has so valiantly shared with us. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is that you have a question and not just so much a comment. And if in fact it's just a comment, then it's acceptable. But please go ahead and take this opportunity to to speak to Asadah personally and find out what it is that you'd like to have her to respond to. Let's bring back Asadah.
Hey, so I see my girl, Sherry Lynn Smith says, my father created a lifetime of harm psychologically by making my mother, brother, and I feel less, and he trashed my mother verbally, right and left and center. Understood. Memories left. You know, we all way grown, but this stuff is still in us, and we don't forget it, and it shapes how we develop relationships with others. This here, Higher Learning Network. Wow, that was a powerful clip. Thank you for sharing this powerful message. When's the next training? Ha! You say the word, I'm chilling. Let me know. Then it says parental workshops. So yeah, basically schools are the best environments for that because the parents are there. And I have a series of activities that I do that get the parents thinking about their experiences and what they're doing when they go home. And a lot of times I don't really have them. It's not about what are you doing to your kid. It's really about what was done to you. And we spend a lot of time on that because once we look at what was done to the parent, they automatically be like, oh, now they could see the error in their own ways because they see the error in the ways of the parents that raised them. And so my thing is to, in my book, like I said, in my book, when you read it, there are literal keys next to solutions that people can either use or ways that they can think that'll help them perform better and get a better result when they're dealing with their children.
This has been such a powerful moment. And I just want to say, as I'm here, I'm thinking about things like sending flowers to my children, saying I'm sorry to them in ways that are not just verbal, but to definitely to take a moment individually with each of them for thanking them for putting up with me and seeing me through my journey. I wasn't always a single mother, but when I became a single mother post-divorce and other things that took place, I really did feel sorry for myself and I was unaware of it. Unaware of it. And so when I said I needed mommy moments, it was a way for me to say, hey, you know, I want to show that I am a great mom and not necessarily taking a very poignant look at who they are. You know, although in many ways, when I would be at a performance or somewhere where they were getting an award, or even as they endeavored to get, you know, to do better in the world and monetarily, right, better jobs, making more money, those were all in my moments, mommy moments, and not really a celebration of them. And so it's a lot that I'm taking away from this that's teaching me what I need to say and what I need to do. And I parade them around like little ponies, like they're great for the racetrack, but not necessarily for my whole life, right? Or that they are the makeup of my whole life. I mean, this is a language, really. It's a parental language that you're teaching here. And it's also a reminder that our history has shaped us.
You know, moms and dads need validation as well, period. We need to know that we're doing a good job, right? And there's really never a person there to say good job. And we need to understand that. And as a teacher, I actually used to teach my students. I've taught high school and middle school and first grade and all of that. But the older kids, I would let them know, go home and ask your mother how her day was. Man, oh man, when they went home and they like returned care back to their parents, they don't know to do it unless they're taught, y'all. They're not going to innately just act like that. They watch TV. So on TV, you don't see that, right? But when I told them to go home and show some care to their parents, this one girl, my girl, Jacoya, what's up, girl? She said when she went home and said, Mommy, how was your day? She said her mother did not stop talking. It was just a stream of her occurrences and this and that. But the mom would not have anybody to talk to if she didn't do that. You see what I'm saying? Like a single mom. She didn't have a spouse to tell her to or to debrief for the day. And so, you know, children can play that role, but they need that awareness that can be played. And you got to be you have to be a parent that is open to them being a communication terminal for you. Like they growing, they got their own ideas. They can, my daughter, when she was like 8 years old, used to do this thing where she would rub my head. And I used to ask her, where you get that from? And it used to be so soothing. And she used to just rub my head. And we don't know to this day. She don't know why she did that. But that little spirit in there used to do that. And I used to need it as a person, as a single mom, just at the end of the day, somebody rubbing my head, making it okay, letting it go. And sometimes she would say, it's okay. And I wouldn't even be in turmoil, but boy, I'm glad she had that in her to do. So if you're going to raise children with that type of, and I'll share this last story about, because I talked a little about in a video, regulatory equipment, and how when you create a level of toxic stress in your child, the regulatory part of the brain that makes decisions in times of adversity doesn't develop, right? And so my daughter was being asked or she was telling a teacher, oh, the summer's coming. I'm going to my grandma's house and I'm going to have a microwave in my room and I'm going to pop popcorn and I'm going to have cable in my room. And so the teacher said to her, oh, you're spoiled. And my daughter said at 7 years old, I'm not spoiled. I'm highly loved. There's a difference. Regulatory equipment, you understand me? Not being fresh, but just having enough sense to deduce the right answer to the situation. No, this is not me being spoiled. She know that spoiled means putrid and rotten. It's not what I am. I'm highly loved. That's what all of that is a reflection of. So teaching moment for her, boop. But you can create beings that have that type of contribution to the world if you take enough time to make sure you raise your skills and not your hands when you're rearing them. So
I think that words are powerful. In fact, I believe most people do. We understand words are powerful. And I think that hearing you go through these steps and these here lessons these are small parts of your lessons, right? These are just bullet points almost just being elaborated on. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm learning a whole new, this is a love language. That's what I'm trying to say. And for someone like myself who believes that I am a loving, kind, good person, I'm generating that for myself. Now, how do I share that? And so I'm learning now how to share it. I think that if I'm successful in my tribe, then I can be successful in the world.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's not, and I also feel like it's not too late for me to make these changes, to take this information in and to, grow my family in healthier water when I'm watering my flowers, right? Making sure my plants are growing well. And I have to remember, like my kids always say when they come to visit me, man, you really love these cats. And I'm thinking, why do they always make a big deal about the cats? But now I think I understand, because the cats are like not going to go away. They're not going to leave and go to college, right? And go get married and have a life or live a life. The cats will always be here. So they'll always see me taking care of them, nurturing them, loving them, caring for them, talking to them. And so we are reflections of what's going on in our own lives. So we do need to take a closer look at that reflection of who we are. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today, my dear.
Oh, I just want to put up here what Cherie said. She says, I'll never forget what you shared, Asadah Kirkland. So everybody, please get this book. You can find Asadah on Facebook, YouTube, many other mediums. And I would encourage you to continue to seek her out, find out what it is that she's doing, and we'll continue to update it. And I actually got to come back. But before we leave, I'm going to add one more person to the stage. Dr. Latif, I just want you to have a closing statement before we walk out the doors. We only have like a few seconds left, but please.
Well, I'm going to say, and you played that commercial with 3 Black moms. My sisters and I, we're writing a book about our experience growing up. And I was just texting them that we have to address the issues growing up, because my mother believed in corporal punishment, and beautiful mother as she was, we're all affected by that. So we're going to have to address that in our book, because there's some trauma that we experience as a result of that. And so I was just texting them, because I've texted them the link to this show And we have to have that conversation, because as a people, as a human family, we have to address how we're raising our children with violence, and how, if we're going to change this world, we have to change the way we're raising our children. So thank you, Senabella, for having Asadah on and addressing this topic, because it is so needed right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I went to the book fair and bought the book and took it home and started reading it. And I was impacted right away. And I just cried. I'm like, I've been looking for an answer. I didn't even know what question I needed answered first. And then this book made me realize this is the thing, that if you answer this, then you're probably going to have the doorway to everything else. Because I miss my children.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so I would love to be able to have them parade me around like a horse pony show. Anyway, it's time to shut this here down before we get past that moment. Thank you all so much for coming. This has been Coffee Break with Senabella and our wonderful guest, Asadah Kirkland, and our beautiful Dr. Naima Latif, who has made it possible for me to be here. We'll see you next Friday. Have a great day.
Thanks.